It is, I was about to say, we got about 30 seconds to finish this meeting. It is 4 o'clock. So I'm going to call the executive committee meeting to order. First, we have a roll call, and it looks like we have all 8 members present. So we do meet our quorum. Next up, item 2 is the consent agenda. May I have a motion for item 2A and B? Motion by member Lehman, second by member Klein. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next up, item number 3, request to speak by members of the public or county employees. We did have one member sign up of the public, Mr. Patrick Whitaker. Hi, if you'd come to the podium, you'll have 3 minutes at the mic.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Patrick Whitaker. I own Shake It Up right down the street. I'm just here to talk about the hemp-derived THC drinks that we had at Shake It Up. I don't know when it happened, I know when it happened for us, but there was never really like any discussion that we were notified of those being taken or that we couldn't sell them anymore. I don't know if you guys have purchased them, but they're not cheap. We are available to sell them again, but in the email that we got, it was very loose. It's basically said that we can have them, we can sell them, but they could be taken out at any point. And those are expensive. And especially now, like with the holiday season coming up, there's a lot of people, especially the 21 to 25 like age range, not a whole lot of drinkers, and over the holiday season, people like to drink. That is something that is a good alternative for them to keep them social and keep them coming in and to keep, butts and seats. So I would just, if we could get any type of clarity on that and the reasoning as to why they got pulled, because again, there was really just no information shared, at least with me. That could be separate. But yeah, just wanted to know about that. And if they are pulled again, are we going to have any notice of it? And the full reasoning behind it, I guess, is all I'm asking for. So that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. I do anticipate there'll be some discussion later this meeting if you'd like to stay for that part. Thank you. Okay, moving on with our timeline in place, we have item number 4, board appointments and reappointments. If there are no objections, I'd like to move 4A and B together. Seeing no objections, I'd like to take a motion for item, yes, Member Rogel. It'll wait a second. Okay. May I get a motion for item 4A and B combined? Rogel, second by Byrne. Comments or questions? Yes, Member Rogel.
I believe there's a Scrivener's error under Dustin Carter's address. I think there's an H in Wharton.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Noted. We'll get that updated for the full board meeting. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, item 4A and B, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on, item number 5A, we have under Executive Committee, the 5A1A, presentation by candidates for the McLean County Board, District number 4 vacancy, and that is Mr. Bessler. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you. You do have 5 minutes to present yourself for the seat.
Thank you, Chairperson Johnston, Vice Chair Rogel, members of the Executive Committee, and county staff. It is an honor to appear before you for appointment to the District 4 seat this afternoon. As my appointment materials outline, I bring extensive experience in community development and public service. Immediately after graduating high school, I ran for and won a seat on the Board of Education for my hometown school district. Being an elected official at a young age provided deep lessons on service, bipartisanship, and good stewardship of tax dollars. My career began working as a housing counselor at a small nonprofit in Peoria, where I served folks preparing to buy their first home to neighbors facing the threat of foreclosure. Along with housing counseling, I worked to provide free tax preparation services to low-income, older, and disabled community members. After my time in the nonprofit world, I began working in state and local government, from being a caseworker providing public benefits like SNAP and Medicaid to managing complex federal and state grant programs. Each job has focused on one thing: making life better for each person served. The opportunity to represent the people of District 4 is not one I take lightly, and if confirmed, I pledge to bring the same sense of service and commitment that have been the defining characteristics of my career so far. From our excellent community college and universities to the major businesses that call McLean County home, our community has incredible institutions and that provide opportunity for people of all backgrounds and skills. This is a gift that is not available to every community our size, and I believe McLean County has the resources, people, and infrastructure to continue being a leader in innovation, growth, and fellowship in our state. I believe good government is one that provides a level playing field where everyone has a chance to succeed. And when people need a helping hand, government should extend that support. My priorities, if entrusted with this responsibility, are to maintain and improve infrastructure across McLean County, strengthen the local economy, expand the presence of green energy infrastructure that is built by local union labor, and broaden the access to quality, affordable health care, especially mental health services, throughout the county. As stated when I announced my intent to seek this seat, building a better world starts right here, at home. I'm eager to get to work and partner with all of you to serve McLean County. I look forward to your questions, and I yield back.
Thank you. I now open it up to the members of the executive committee. Do you have any questions for the candidate? This is our chance to interview. Member Byrne.
Welcome, Mr. Bessler. I just want to say that I appreciate the thoroughness of your information and for coming out and speaking with us today, and wish you the best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Member Rogel.
One of the questions is always asked is, what committees would you like to serve on, not necessarily what you're going to serve on?
I'm open to serving wherever I'm needed. I do believe, based off my background and experience, land use, transportation, finance, health committees would be the best fit, along with the legislative subcommittee.
Member Klein.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bessler. Just a question about your work with the city. Do you foresee any kind of conflicts of interest, and how would you handle those if you do something like that arises?
Yeah, for any conflict of interest that arises, whether it be a contract or an agreement with the city, I'd recuse myself from that vote. I did let the appropriate officials at the city know my intent to seek the seat in 2026 and my intent to apply for the vacancy as well.
Any other comments or questions? You forgot.
We don't know what the Planetary Society is.
If you could enlighten us.
It is a membership organization founded by Carl Sagan to promote space exploration.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, Mr. Bessler, thank you for your time, and you are excused. We'll move on to item number 5A2, that is Legislative Subcommittee, and I will turn it over to Vice Chair Rogel for these two items.
Sure. We met a couple of weeks ago, Legislative Subcommittee. Everybody on the committee was there. We have two items to be presented for action. The first one is 52A1, which is request approval of our legislative principles. These are the same principles that we've approved at least the 5 years that I've been on the board. We made no changes to them. They're just dedication of what we're looking to do.
Thank you. Can I get a motion? Motion by Lehman. May I get a second? By Klein. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 52A1, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item.
And the next one up is 5A2AA2, which is request approval of a resolution of the McLean County Board adopting the 2026 legislative program for McLean County, and I can discuss it once we have a motion, or
And I
I
have-
so move.
You move. And may I get a second? Second by Member Byrne. Comments or questions? You want to have a discussion and explain?
Just briefly, we in our last county board meeting, we approved a new lobbying firm, a new government affairs firm, who came and introduced themselves, actually sat through the presentation as we went through each point on this, our agenda. All of our members, like I said, were there, so an equal representation of everybody from the board. We had no dissenting votes on any of the agenda items, and our lobbying group believes that some of them will be possible given, depending on some grant funding availability through the state and federal government. But I can answer any other questions anybody might have.
Any other questions from the committee? All right, seeing none, all in favor of item 5A2A2, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item, 5A3, Information Technologies Department. Mr. Nelson has no items for action, but under 3B, we do have items to be presented for information. And I'll turn that over to you.
Thank you, Chair. First is the general report, which I've covered in very broad strokes here on what we're working on. Obviously, the replacement of the criminal justice system consumes a lot of our time and resources. We are still batting a little bit of cleanup on the RMS system and working to assist those agencies in getting everything smoothed out there. The jail management system, we did have to move our go live to March at this point, and that was by mutual agreement. We have some integrations that we're working on between the new system and the legacy system in terms of the jail information moving between them that need to be accomplished on our end by the county side. And so that we all agreed it would be better if we waited until we had that completely ironed out before launching. Courts is still moving along. They have had I'm being introduced this week to a new overall project manager who's overseeing the multiple projects, the 4 projects that make that up. And then, of course, ERP, we've been spending a lot of time in ERP meetings, which kind of, I'm happy to answer questions on that, but that kind of segues into the second report, the ERP finance status report first, which for the most part, we're making very good progress. Our cut live for finance is February 17th at this point. We are still seeing a lack of engagement on the part of the auditor, which remains a risk. Everybody kind of sees that risk in a little bit different light. From my personal perspective, the biggest risk is that having not participated in these meetings for the most part up to this point, there's a lot of training that happens in simply how to navigate the system and setting up the workflows and the securities and permissions. And I'm a little concerned that our auditor might come into this without the necessary experience to hit the ground running when we launch. So that's kind of my main take on it. She did, I will say, engage with our project manager, Sanford Hess, one-on-one last week to answer some questions. And so she did reach out to him, and then she was asked to be at a meeting. That was on the 1st. She was asked to be at a meeting on the 4th and didn't show up for that particular meeting. And so participation remains intermittent at best, is how I would characterize it. But we've sent, our project manager has sent some materials off for her review. And our typical approach at this point has been if we haven't heard anything in 3 days and we've already got guidance on that topic, then we proceed. And so that's kind of how we're approaching it at this time.
Thank you. Questions from the committee? Yes, Member Lehman.
So at this stage in time, are we feeling like we're still theoretically on track and on target to be able to meet the previously, or not the previously set deadline, right, because we had to move it, but noticing that we do have some risks and hearing there, might be some other bumps in the road along the way when we get to training time. Are we still on timing target? Are we feeling good about that? Do you have any answer to that?
You do? Okay.
With the permission of the chair, I'd be happy to answer that question. I do feel like we are still on target for the February go-live date.
Great.
We also are building in contingencies. They are not the best practice. Obviously, having those who are dealing with the system and will be dealing with the system on a day-to-day basis should be the people that are weighing in on testing and training, but we do have some built-in contingencies and are still planning for the go-live date in February. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, thank you. I would agree. I concur that I think we are still on track to go live. Confidence is high on that in that, so we're working on solidifying the training dates and the on-site dates even today and locking those things in. And we'll be finalizing the attendees for those training sessions in the next week or two. But that, we appear to be on track for that, so.
Could I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
So with communicating the training sessions, I don't know if they come from your department or necessarily from administration, but how are those typically communicated? Is it like sending like a calendar invite? Are there follow-ups? What does it look like? Just want to make sure that we've got all bases covered to make sure if someone is needed for the training, there is no room for error in the understanding of that time frame and being able to block it in as important.
So we're working to establish the communication plan for the training sessions. Some of the trainings will be T for T sessions, and most of those attendees have already been identified and have already been a part of the ongoing ERP project. But for those end users, that will be communicated out through email and also calendar invite, and we will be sending reminders out.
Wonderful, thank you. And I do want to highlight and appreciate the diligence that your team, as well as your team, have done to come together and get us to this point so where we can still be on track for February. It's great news, thank you.
I just have a few follow-up questions. I noticed on the list of items assigned to the auditor's office, we've got 4 past due, but then we've had 2 more dates that are still saying open. Under the chart of accounts, there are 2 items. It doesn't say past due, even though the due date was November 30th. And I'm curious if she met those, if those have been answered.
When I communicated with our project manager earlier today, I asked if anything in the report needed to be updated. And I don't think he was thinking about whether or not we had crossed those new dates. This was provided before the 30th.
Right.
But I believe I did have, so she did work with our project manager, Mr. Sanford Hess, on validating, discussing how to validate conversion balances between the old system and new system. But I don't believe there's anything new. I would tentatively turn anything past November 30th pink at this point. I'm not aware that anything else has taken place to resolve those yet.
But are these things, if they're not completed, would they cause a hiccup when the February 17th go live? Or are we
Kinda
going
need
to have
go
to
through
go
those by
somewhere
each one,
else?
but I think it's one of those things where, again, we would have to, we have Clifton Larson Anderson in the loop on some of these. In fact, there was one that addressed this. So if you go to second from the bottom, third from the conversions, you'll see one that's past due. It says make plans for outside auditor too. So we've already had discussions with Clifton Larson Anderson to make them aware that some of these things will exist only in detail in the old world when they go to do the audit for next year, and only summary information will be carried into the new system. So it's that type of, that's the decision that we're making. And so,
So you're communicating this with CLA. Is this something, are we going to be leaning on CLA to complete some of these tasks?
I don't believe we are at this point. And we understand from our agreement with them, I talked with them about this, that they do have a consulting rate that's already built into the existing contract. So obviously with permission of
rate.
admin, if we need to, I would reach
Sure.
out to them and
But the rate's built in, but these would be additional contractual hours
yes,
that we would have to pay
yeah.
to get the information that we need to get this program up and running.
Yeah, and some of these, it may just be that we have to make the best decision we know how to make. Some of these are forks in the road one way or the other. And others of them are a little bit more don't know how to describe that, but they're a little bit more open-ended questions, and that's where we would really need CLA's input, I think,
Okay.
on how to handle that.
Okay, that's all from me. Anyone else from the committee with questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for all the work you're putting into this to try to stay on track for our February 17th date. All right, we will move on. Item number 4 is Behavioral Health Coordination Department. Ms. Landreth had no items, so we have nothing to present for action or information. I would like to note that the BHCC will be meeting this Friday, and the Funding Advisory Council, the FAC, will be meeting next Wednesday, the 17th, around the corner in 404 at 3 p.m., and that is a public meeting. So, for the record. Moving on, item number 5B, Finance Committee with Member Lehman.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. The Finance Committee has no items to be presented for action this evening. We do have one that goes before the board on Thursday, and I'm happy to answer the questions you have in the meantime.
Thank you so much. We'll move on. Item 5C, Health Committee, Member Byrne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Health Committee brings several items for action today. Item 4C1A, request approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the County of McLean and the City of Bloomington for the temporary use of kitchen facilities. And I so motion.
Second by Member Rogal. Comments or questions? Grateful to the city for taking this step with us and partnering so that we can continue to serve our residents. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5C1A, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Back to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With permission, I'd like to combine items B and C.
No
Item
objections?
4C1B, request approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 205 fees, Article 11 miscellaneous code fees in the McLean County Code for Chapter 216 food service, and item 4C1C, request approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 205 fees, Article 11 miscellaneous code fees in McLean County Code for Chapter 310 sewage disposal systems, water wells, and geothermal exchange systems, and I so motion.
May I have a second? Second by Rogal. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5C, 1B, and C, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Moving on to items 4D. With permission, I'd like to combine items 4D, 4E, 4F, and 4G. Item 4.
We're on 5C.
Yes, sorry about that. I had the wrong names. Item 5C, 1D, E, F, and G. Would like to combine those items, please.
Yes.
Thank you. So item 5C, 1D, request approval of an emergency ordinance amending CY25 combined appropriation and budget for Fund 0105, 0061, 0067 Preventative Health Program. 5C1E, request approval of an emergency ordinance amending CY25 combined appropriation and budget for Fund 0107, 0061, 0061 West Nile virus. 5C1F, request approval of an emergency ordinance amending CY25 combined appropriation and budget for Fund 0112, 0061, 0060 Behavioral Health. And item 5C1G, request approval of an emergency ordinance amending CY25 combined appropriation and budget for Fund 0112, 0061, and 0111 TB services. And I so motion.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Member Lehman. Comments or questions? Yes, Member Friedrich.
Were we adding any employees to any of these? And what would be the total number? New employees?
Were there new employees being added
Yes.
with the funding? Ms. McKnight?
No, new employees.
No new employees?
Thank you. Other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor of item 5C1, D, E, F, and G, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Health Committee also brings 5 other items for information to the board, which we will see on Thursday. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Moving on, item 5D1A, and that is Justice Committee with Member Rogal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Justice Committee has one item to be presented for action. 5D1A, which is request approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Bloomington and the County of McLean regulating the use by the County of McLean of the City of Bloomington's Police Shooting Range Facility, and I so move.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second by Member Reeves. Out in your district, any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5D1A, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Back to you, Vice Chair Rogel.
The Justice Committee has no other items to be presented for action, but we will have a significant number for the board on Thursday.
Thank you so much. Moving on, 5E, Property Committee. Member Lehman.
Thank you very much, Chair Johnston. The Property Committee has one item to be presented for action this evening. Item 5E1A is the request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2025 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance, and I so move.
May I have a second? Second by Member Byrne. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of item 5E1A, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Back to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Property Committee has no other items to be presented for action this evening. We do have 5 items that are going to go before the board on Thursday. And again, happy to answer any questions you have in the meantime.
Thank you so much. Moving on to item 5F, Land Use and Transportation Committee. Member Klein.
Thank you, Chairperson Johnston. The Land Use and Transportation Committee has no items to be presented for action this evening. There will be 7 items for action, and not counting also some stuff that has come from the ZBA that will be also on the agenda. I'm happy to answer any questions that people may have.
Any questions for Member Klein?
Oh.
Yes.
Sorry. I have a question for myself. So I just wanted to say to all the members here, the issue about carbon sequestration will start to filter up again because that timeline is moving along. And what I wanted to say is that I have ordered from the University of Illinois Prairie Research Center printouts of their report on carbon sequestration in Illinois. If you're looking for ways to learn about it and kind of with a respected group. This publication does exist online, but it's a very long one, so I asked and they sent us free of charge several copies, so I have those in the office, happy to distribute them. Also happy to send you the link if you'd rather have just the link. But if there are other members who would like to have that just as sort of a good background, a kind of neutral source of information about some of this stuff, those are available for you in the office.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the effort to do that. So, moving on, item 5G, and this is a report from the County Administrator, Ms. Taylor.
Thank you, Chair Johnston. With the approval of the committee, I would like to combine items A and B.
I have no objections.
That would be request approval of a services agreement with Chestnut Health Systems under the Opioid Use Prevention and Community Support Program, and also a request for approval of a services agreement with Project Oz under the Youth Substance Use Disorder Prevention Program.
May I get a motion for item 5G, 1A and B? Rogel, may I get a second? By Klein. Comments or questions? It's an excellent use of our opioid funds. This is a project that my kid has come home telling me about from Project Oz, so it is having an impact. So I'm very glad that we can continue the support. Seeing no other objections, all in favor of item 5G, 1A and B, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Back to you.
I have no other items to present to the board.
Okay. Under 5G13, we do have 3C. We have a closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11. Do we want to do that before? Okay. Thank you for being here, Ms. McKnight. Yes, so we do want to move on to other, under 5G3B, other communications. We can do that under administration, I'm assuming?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
One of the items that has been requested to give some direction and clarity on is the actions by the health department in relation to the THC-infused products. So we're hoping, Jessica, that you can give a brief update on actions that have been taken by your department, but also remedies and other updates that this board and the public may not be aware of.
Yeah, so thank you for letting me come tonight and provide you a little background, what I know, and where we are now, and where we hope to be going forward. And I want to just start by acknowledging this is a pretty complex and evolving situation that I'm learning more about every day, and really something that was brought to our attention back in January. So something that we have known about as a trending topic that the FDA brought to our attention in January at an environmental health conference at the state. So that's how we first learned about THC-derived or cannabis-derived products, beverages that we might be seeing out in the field. And the FDA just letting us know that those hemp-derived CBD, THC, those products are something that is under their regulation, and just to keep an eye out for them. But in McLean County, we didn't see any here until around September. So September was the first time any of our environmental health practitioners had reported seeing any of these products, and still something that we're, again, learning about what they are. And so our procedures are to embargo those products as we've been instructed by Illinois Department of Public Health. And so what that means is literally just to say that they are not able to be sold. So really embargoing, then just making sure to move that product from the public area where they would be sold to an area where they would not be publicly accessible or available for sale until we can get more information. So that would be our instruction out in the field. And in September, when we first encountered these products, that was the instruction to those facilities. And so since then, we have encountered them again at a few other facilities. And again, same thing, embargoed the products. We're removing them from the publicly accessible and areas for sale until we could get more information. And unfortunately, we are at a place where we do not have a lot of additional information yet. So they would have still been embargoed as we continue to work with Illinois Department of Public Health and some of the other local health departments to try to figure out a statewide answer and procedure of how to handle these products that, as previously mentioned, that we are currently allowing on the shelves because, while FDA has said that these hemp-derived products are not able to be sold, that the local health departments, we don't necessarily feel, we don't generally don't enforce against products that are not prepared in food establishments. So that is kind of where we are sitting right now, where we have done communication with those facilities where the products were embargoed, just to let those facilities know that as of right now, they can be returned to the shelves until we can get a better answer of who actually has the regulatory authority over these products. So even though FDA has said that in their current state, the THC and the CBD is not an approved food additive, we don't have necessarily that next step of, okay, so who has the regulatory authority over those products? So until that happens, that would have been our next step in an embargo. Remove them from the shelves until we can get an answer from that regulatory authority of what happens next. But since that is still the unclear, that's the answer we are still working to get. And we're working with IDPH and just across the state to have a consistent answer. Because while we're speaking about this in McLean County, I can assure you that McLean County is not the only county that is seeing this going on right now. But I've been definitely a pretty squeaky wheel to the state asking for, and we need some answers. We need some guidance, and we need a consistent answer across the state. For us, education is always the top key of anything that we do, especially our members out in the field. Education with options. And so an embargo is that. It's an education with options. This situation just shows me that we can do better. So it gives me an opportunity to take a step back, I welcome feedback always, so take a step back, maybe, reassess our embargo procedures, how we're educating out in the field to ensure that if there are miscommunications, misunderstandings about that next step of an embargo, that we're all on the same page. So it's kind of where we are at right now. The communication has been sent out to those facilities that embargoed the products so that they know they can, as of right now, return them to the shelves. We would communicate if anything changes. It becomes challenging because we don't necessarily know all the facilities that have products currently on the shelves. So if and when we get that firm answer as a statewide, how is this going to be addressed, we would communicate to everyone we have that has a permit with us. So that way we would cover all of our bases. But happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. So I just want to clarify, the formal stance right now is that while we're in this sort of like gray area, that you will not be regulating or embargoing products while we're trying to figure out who has the authority to oversee and who has the authority to determine whether it's an additive or not.
Correct,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
But we do have a formal stance, and that is the stance moving forward until we hear differently.
Yes, until we have a different answer, that is our current stance, that's been communicated, that they can be returned to the shelves until we have a different answer.
So is that something, from a formal standpoint, is that something that as the head of the health department that you've kind of issued like a memo or a policy, or how do we create that formal process?
It could be, yes. I could, and we could send out that communication in this interim to all. It's kind of a difficult communication of, we don't have any answers. I'd like to have a communication that has clear answers whenever we send something out, but can, of course, consider communication with that.
I meant even just internally, so that staff is very aware of the formal position.
Okay, yes, that has
Okay.
been communicated internally.
Okay. And then moving forward, if that does change, I understand that it can either drag, or can turn on a dime and the decision is made. What can businesses expect in that kind of notification and timeline as to, like, how do they rectify and kind of come in line with the new ruling?
So, our process, again, is education. So even an embargo is, in the moment, remove that until we can get an answer for you. So our timeline would be as soon as we have an answer to communicate out to everyone we have a permit to, letting them know what that process is. So if that process is that we're giving, a warning to someone, or even just giving them the education of, this is a product that, again, FDA has considered to not be an approved additive. So even if that is the case, then here's our education to you. We will make note of it and go on with whoever does have that authority. So, our stance would not be anything in the moment of actions, other than if we reinstated embargoes, the embargo being that it can't be sold in the moment.
Okay. All right. I'll open it up. Other questions from the committee? Member Byrne?
Thank you for coming out and helping to clarify what is clearly a situation without clear answers. So just to clarify, we're not talking about products that are available in a legal dispensary. So this is a different classified product under agricultural law, am I correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So these are not products that are as tightly regulated as products that are sold in a dispensary, is that correct?
Correct.
Because of the issue? Okay, thank you. And then, so within the definition of embargo, is there a provision to, or are we legally permitted to tell a business, you must destroy this product, or you must dump this product, or is it simply just you must remove it from sale?
Yeah, that's not our normal practice to direct someone to. Obviously, if it is a perishable product, that might be one option that is given that you might choose to, but not a directive to destroy the product. Yeah, here are the options but really it's removing it from sale in that moment.
Okay, so it's just removed from sale, it's not, we need to destroy this product?
Yes, hold it until we can get a better answer for you from that source that has the regulatory authority.
Right, and yes, and while we're awaiting that, and we're clearly not getting clear direction from that, and so that's certainly a frustrating ordeal on our end. I wonder if we have the ability to say, in the absence of such clear direction, could we put a time limit on it? Like, we will not take any action for the next 60 days. You are permitted to sell this, just so businesses aren't feeling like they could come back and, okay, the health department could change its mind tomorrow and come back and tell us to put all this stuff back in the stock room. So could we possibly say something like put a time limit on it? Like, we will reevaluate this in 60 days, in 90 days, something like that.
Yes, definitely something we can consider. And we do have the Board of Health meeting this week, and this is a topic that we do plan to discuss then. So something that we can definitely discuss at that time about potential next step and choices and actions.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Member Klein?
Thank you so much for being here, Jessica. I understand that we're in a we don't know kind of situation, and I think probably the most upsetting thing for me is we are employees of the taxpayers of McLean County, and I feel that kind of customer service orientation from our environmental health and safety inspectors was completely lost in this process. You weren't out there doing that. You're here in front of me, so I'm going to express it to you, but this is really to all of those inspectors who really should be ashamed of their behavior, because I heard, because I represent this district in downtown, heard from bars and restaurants and grocery stores that environmental health and safety regulators from McLean County came in and said that everything from there was a directive from the governor who told us we had to do this, to threats that they would have their license removed. There was no consistency. And what that means is, of course, these bar owners know each other and they call each other and say, what's going on? And we're talking about people who want to stay compliant. They want to do the right things. And so they are trying to follow the rules, but we gave them literally nothing. Someone showed up one day and said, you have to get rid of all this stuff. And there was no paper, there was no document, there was no policy from the health department, there was none of that, right? So there was kind of like, I think, a little bit of panic. Obviously, there's a financial component to this. If a business has paid to have this product, right, they can't return the product. But there was just, I think, a complete lack of customer service on behalf of those inspectors, right? And I know you're standing in front of us saying that education is the goal. That's not what was happening, right? So from my point of view, none of those inspectors should be without a good retraining and retalking to, because their behavior was wildly inappropriate. And I understand that part of an environmental health and safety inspector's job is to ensure the safety of the public, but also we are implementing the rules on behalf of the citizens, right? So I appreciate this, and I think Member Burns' suggestion is a good one, because I can imagine, especially if you're a small business owner, that you are trying to stock your shelves with what people will want to buy in the next six weeks, 30 days or whatever. You want to know whether you should be buying that or not, or whether you're going to be forced to throw it away, right? I think having a timeline, I think that makes a lot of good sense. But I feel like the health department owes some of these people an apology for how this went down. I've been working with Senator Kaler's office trying to get IDPH to respond. I'm doing my best, right? And I think we're in this sort of weird situation. But none of that excuses the fact that these health inspectors went out to these places and had an inconsistent message, sometimes a really aggressive and unkind message, that caused at least one business owner to destroy product. That's not okay. Right? So we have to address that. I hope you address that in your department, in addition to trying to find answers to what's going on. Because there's this we're in this position where nobody really knows who's in charge of it, but we can behave better, even if that doesn't get resolved at the federal level. So I appreciate you being here to listen to that.
Yeah.
Yes, Member Road.
Thank you. And I would absolutely like to echo what Member Klein said and suggest that there was a better way to do this. But, equally unknown in this factor is these products themselves. These are unregulated products. And I think the health department is doing its job and pointing out, like, we are regulating unregulated products that we don't know where they came from, how they were produced, they were uninspected, those things. So we do need to balance both ends of it and say, like, look, there is an unregulated product that is being sold, and there is a safe way to do this and to sell it. Maybe we can find some improvements in that, but this is not a regulated product that's out there, and there's a lot of variation, there's a lot of unknowns in those where as well. So I do appreciate the fact that we do have our inspectors out there and looking for things and checking them out. But yes, we can absolutely do this in a better way that helps our businesses and provides a product that people are clearly buying as well. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Vice Chair Rogel?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. So, Ms. McKnight, you mentioned that you did it, the first time happened in September, then it came up again, I heard about it early November. How long were your inspectors having them pull things off the shelves or whatever before it was paused again? How many days did that happen?
It was only about 2 weeks.
2
Week and a
weeks?
half,
And what was the requirement? I mean, I've talked to a number of businesses that never had anybody come in and talk to them and sold through that whole time frame. I had others that have, I tried to get hold of them today on the phone, they didn't get back to me, but that, like Member Klein said, to dump their product. Others that pulled it off the shelves and were lucky enough to have the distributors reimburse them, but are leery of doing it again because of they're not sure if the distributor will give it back to them or reimburse them if they're not able to sell. So how many, do you have any idea how many businesses were your inspectors told to pull stuff off the shelves?
If I had to ballpark, it's under 10.
Under
that I know
10?
of, yeah. Yeah, and as mentioned, can't know all of the businesses that might have it. That's why communication is difficult. And whenever we get an answer and updates, it will go out to everyone, all permit holders, just because we don't know. We don't know if someone does have it. And, some businesses that don't have permits with us also might have it. So there's a lot of moving parts with this, definitely. Federal legislation that we're also keeping our eye on. It's a lot of moving parts.
And, we have businesses in this county that produce these products in addition to selling the products. So, some of this was a significant financial impact to some of them. Thousands of dollars of material that was dumped out that we as representatives of the county have to hear about, have to deal with, which isn't good for us, for you, for anybody else involved in this. So we need to make sure that going forward that everything is documented and in writing. And, the concern I have is numerous, but, if this went on for 2 weeks and 10 or less businesses out of the ones throughout the entire county that that are selling this were the only ones that were commented and asked to pull their product, that's a little worrisome too, if there are only 10 businesses in a 2 week span of time, right? I know businesses that, the majority of the ones that I heard that were not contacted aren't within the Bloomington normal city limits, so I wasn't sure how that, was it all of your inspectors? Was it and I'm not asking for a specific number, but, were there specific people that were doing it more than others? That's the kind of things that we need to make sure is, all of them working across the board in the same manner, right? Because we have a business owner here who wants some answers, and that's part of what we have to do is help find those answers for them. So, I applaud that if we're going to let them know that, for the next 30 days, we're not going to sell, or whatever the health department ends up approving would be helpful for them, especially at this time of year where people are buying gifts for people. And a lot of these products can be bought online, right? There are companies out there that are selling them and they can ship it to them because a lot of the THC-derived beverages are actually covered under the Farm Bill from a few years ago, where they're allowed to be sold and the products are allowed to be made. They're just not regulated. So we need to be careful of what we're doing now. Next January 1st, just over a year from now, it's all going to be illegal, at least currently. But, we have to make sure that everything that we do for businesses in this county is level across the playing field, right? Because I don't want, somebody in Lexington versus somebody in Normal versus someone in Leroy versus someone in Downs. They all have to be treated equally. So I just want to make sure that we're moving ahead with that kind of approach.
Yeah, I can definitely assure you that they weren't products that we were out there, singling out and looking for necessarily, but happened to be ones that are easily identifiable by the packaging and or displays, et cetera, that clearly mark them as what they are, and thus the embargo. But obviously have definitely acknowledged that our procedures, they need more in terms of education and clarity and making sure that things are understood, that we're on the same page with what's being instructed, because that's what the embargo would have prevented, hopefully, was giving an opportunity to get some clarity. So just giving us a minute to take a step back, put the product aside, get some answers, hopefully, for individuals. But we can always do better, and I welcome the opportunity for us to improve our customer service, because that's what we do. We serve the public, and we need to do better, obviously, in our education to make sure that we're clear and understood.
Yes, go ahead.
Just to follow up. So when you're communicating with the people that you had embargo, was this all in person? Was it, how did you notify them then that it was paused? I spoke with Representative Chung the other day, and some businesses at least provided her with emails from the department. But clearly, I guess if you're going to notify them that there's, let's say the health department decides for the next 30 days not to do anything, is that a letter? Is that an email? How is that going out? How would that normally, like if you send it out to businesses that regulate something that you already regulate, is it a letter? Is it an email? How is it normally done?
Either, both. So whatever type of communication we have for them. So we have communication means for all of those permit holders. So some might be getting it via email, some might be getting it via letter. But in this instance, I believe it was email to those individuals because it was a small amount. But we could do both. We could do email and a letter just to ensure that they received that information.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? My one request would be, if you're looking at a policy that does have some kind of timeline, is to please consult with legal, because as much as we know that the state can make a decision on a dime, the feds can make a decision on a dime, we don't want to have a policy in place that would create some conflict if there's kind of an immediate cessation, if there's kind of this mandate for immediate pause. Just make sure that we have a process so that people understand it or not. I don't want us to be caught in another gray area of like, well, your policy says 30 days, but this says immediate. So just make sure that you're consulting with legal on that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you for being here tonight and for going through all that with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, now we will move on to 5G 3C, and this is a closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11 litigation, when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting. As we most recently found out from the state's attorneys, or from the Attorney General's office, all closed sessions need to be voted in and out with a roll call vote. So I will be taking a roll call vote tonight. May I have a motion on 5G 3C by Rogel, second by Klein? So we'll do roll call vote. Member Rogel?
Yes.
Klein?
Yes.
Lehman? Yes. Friedrich? Byrne?
Yes.
Reeves? And myself is a yes. So we are now in closed session.